أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق والمرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا فعلمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today in this lecture number 17, I would like to explore with you about the meaning of this verse from the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah At-Tawbah, قُلْ لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا هُوَ مَوْلَانَا وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَلْيَتَوَكَّلِ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Indeed, dear brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said here, O Muhammad, tell them that anything can happen to you. It's all written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And nothing will happen to us except what Allah has written upon us. So, dear brothers and sisters, if we know that everything happens to us is planned and arranged by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He wrote everything upon us and upon all the humanity and the creatures. Indeed, look to these verses from Al-Quran. إِنَّا كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلَقْنَاهُ بِقَدَرٍ means we, Allah is talking about Himself, we have created everything with a specific amount. وَكَانَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ قَدَرًا مَقْدُورًا. Indeed, the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's well prepared and planned. وَخَلَقَ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ فَقَدَّرَهُ تَقْدِيرًا. And He created everything in a specific amount and a specific limit. أَلَمْ تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا فِي السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ فِي كِتَابٍ إِنَّ ذَلِكَ عَلَى اللَّهِ يَسِيرٌ. Don't you know that Allah knows what is there in heaven and earth? All of that is written in a book. That was an easy thing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, dear brothers and sisters, everything written in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many verses from the Quran, it all give us this type of knowledge and information. That is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He created everything, but He wrote everything is gonna happen long time and before that. Look to this hadith. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written the destiny for all the creatures there before He created heaven and earth by 50,000 years. This narrated by Imam Muslim. So, dear brothers and sisters, if we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created the first creation, that was the book, that is the major, the main, the mother book, and created the pen. So from that time, He wrote everything is going to happen from that moment until the day of judgment. So everything is written from that moment. So, dear brothers and sisters, when you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written everything from that time, so what is happening now, what is going on, is not random. It's not every day, oh, let me think, what shall I do? It's not like what we are doing. We are the human. So every day we plan for, let's say, we plan for 1 week, we plan for 1 month. But we cannot plan in details what's going to happen and what we are going to do every day exactly. We are totally different than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He planned, He wrote, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He knows what's going to happen, and based off His knowledge, He wrote what has to be done. subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look to this hadith. Al-Walid ibn Ubadah ibn al-Samit. So the son of Ubadah ibn al-Samit. Ubadah ibn al-Samit, he's one of the companions. He is the leader of Al-Khazraj in Al-Madinah. So his son named Al-Walid, he is also a companion. So when his father was dying, so he came to him and he asked him, "Oh, my dear father, can you please give me an advice and make it very comprehensive and very helpful for me?" Then the father said, "Let me sit down." He was laying down, so he asked them to help him to sit down. So after he sat, then he said, "Oh, my son, you will never find the taste of the belief, and you will never reach to the reality and the true knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until you believe in destiny, fate, either good or bad." Then he said, "My father, how do I know that the destiny is good or bad?" Then the father said, you have to know that what happens to you, that no way it can skip you. And what skipped you, no way it will reach to you. I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, this is Ubadah ibn al-Samit telling his son. He said, I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the first thing Allah has created was the pen. Then Allah told the pen, write everything is gonna happen. So he wrote, everything is gonna happen until the day of judgment. Oh my son, if I die and I didn't believe in that, I will enter hellfire. This hadith narrated by Imam al-Tirmidhi and Imam Ahmad, and it is authentic. And then another hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. But indeed, all of them are good. Make sure that you maintain what is good for you and ask help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't sit hopeless. And if something happened to you, don't say, if I did so, it won't happen. And if I didn't do this, it will something happen else. But indeed you say, قدر الله وما شاء فعل. Means Allah has written things and what Allah wants happened. So don't say if, because if here, it opens the devil action. This hadith is narrated by Muslim. So we understand from this hadith that we should believe that what is happening, it is planned and arranged and written by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it will, once it is written, it's gonna happen. So regardless, whatever you do, whatever you think, whatever you plan, what Allah wants to happen, it will happen. And if He wrote it, it's gonna happen. And then another hadith, عن Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, he said, I was one day sitting behind the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam on his donkey. And then he said, oh my son, I am teaching you a few words. Keep Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your eyes. Allah will keep you safe. Stick to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah will be there for you. If you ask, then you ask Allah. If you seek help, then seek help from Allah. And be confident that if the whole ummah gathered together to help you in something, Allah never wrote it for you, it will never happen. And if all the ummah, they gathered, so they want to hurt you with something Allah never wrote it for you, it will never happen. Indeed, the pen has written everything since long time ago. This hadith is narrated by Imam Ahmad and Imam Tirmidhi, and it is authentic. So, dear brothers and sisters, from these words, we have to understand that anything happen, we cannot get rid of it. We cannot remove it. We cannot skip things that Allah wrote it upon us. So we cannot skip, which means that we have to be pleased from what is happening for us. We have to be pleased. We should feel satisfied and pleased from Allah's action subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'll bring you one small story, and this small story is really amazing, and this is a real story. It's not a tale. So the story is narrated by one of the big writers in Al-Andalus in Spain. His name is Al-Hafiz Al-Humaydi. So he said that the minister, his name Aba Umar Ahmad ibn Sa'id ibn Hazm, he used to sit down in the hall of the Amir. Amir means the prince or the leader or the ruler of that area. His name Al-Mansur ibn Abi Amir. And this minister, he already arranged one day during the week so that all the people who have some complaints, they will come to that governor and ask him for help. So one very old woman, she came with a piece of paper and she asked a help from the government. So the minister read the paper and he gave it to the governor Al-Mansur ibn Abi Amir. So Al-Mansur, that governor, he called this very old lady with a very weak body. So he asked her, "What is your problem, my mom?" She said, "My son, he was in prison since a while, and I am very old, and I have no one else to take care about me. He's the one who is helping me and feeding me and bring me my stuff and bring me my food and everything." Then he asked, "Who is your son?" Then she named the name of her son. So once the governor heard the name of her son, he get mad. And then he said, he will be crucified. He will be crucified 3 times. And he keeps shouting until he bring a paper and he write on it. He asked the minister. So the minister give him the paper and he write on it, "This fellow, name so and so, crucified." And he stamp it, sign it, and he give it to the minister. So the minister, he send it to the prison leader. So when the prison leader read the letter of the governor, so immediately he released this young man and he left the prison. So when the governor heard that that fellow has left the prison, he get angry and he called the minister and he called the prison leader and he said, "Why you release him? I'm gonna hang you both. You disobey me." Then they said, "Oh, my lord, you have give us a letter, written on it something else." He said, "What something else?" He said, "Can you see, this is your letter which you send it to us." So he took the letter and he read it. He wrote it in his handwriting and he said in it, he will be released, he will be released, he will be released. So he repeat the word 3 times. So when he read this, he was shocked. And then he said, then he has to be released. If Allah wants him to be released, the whole dunya will not make anything else. So, dear brothers and sisters, indeed, it is all in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we cannot change destiny. We have to be pleased with Allah's destiny and Allah's plans. What Allah wrote upon us, it's gonna happen. But we have to trust Allah's decisions for us. If we know that what He wrote for us is for our good, we should be confident. We shouldn't be frustrated. We shouldn't feel pain. Whatever happens, it's all happens because Allah wants something better for us. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, he said, if I lick a charcoal, a fire charcoal, let it burn what it burn, better for me than to say, for something happen, I hope it didn't happen. Or something didn't happen, I hope it happened. Yes, dear brothers and sisters. لئلا تحزنوا على ما فاتكم ولا تأسوا على ما أصابكم. That is the words of Allah. So don't feel sad for something happen. And don't feel sorry and frustrated for what is going on. Don't feel that. When you believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has make everything for your good, you have to know and you have to trust that it is for your best. And I will end up with this a small wisdom. Bishr ibn Bashar al-Mujashi'i, and he was one of the Ibadullah al-Salihin. He said, I have met 3 worshippers in Jerusalem in Al-Masjid al-Aqsa. So I saw they are from Ibadullah al-Salihin. So I asked the first one, can you please give me advice to help me in our life? Then he said to me, throw yourself with the destiny. Where the destiny of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to go, so you go with it. That is how you should have a pleasure and satisfaction in your heart. So you will never complain, because complaining and frustrated, it will dump you in another river, that is the river of being abandoned while you are not feeling that. Then he said, I asked the second worshipper, can you give me an advice? Then he said, seek the pleasure from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by forbidding all what He forbid. That is the most thing which can make you close to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then I asked the third person, the third worshipper, can you please give me an advice to help me in my life? Then he cried and said, don't seek anything else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't bring it to you. Then you will lose your way and you will never find your way. Always trust what Allah has given to you. Dear brothers and sisters, all these words and all these wisdoms which I bring it to you, it's all have one very simple meaning. Trust Allah and trust His decisions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is better for you. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.